fathered by a gangster, raised and tutored by Rowdies. His name is Sultan and he has huge responsibility of protecting his notorious family from the long arm of the law ready to wipe them off the face of planet Earth. A gangster leader named Sotupoti lives together with his pregnant wife alongside his gangs in the same house. Sotupoti's wife is against her husband's violent life of gangsterism and she fears her unborn child never grow to take after his father. Sotupoti and his close ally named Mansour always wave her fear off as joke. Later that night when the family was asleep, some assassins attack but Sotupoti and his goons fight them off. Same night Sotupoti's wife gives birth to a baby boy but unfortunately she dies due to labor pain. Sotupoti names his son Sultan and from then on the well-being of the boy becomes the responsibility of every goons in the gang. Sultan is loved and well protected by all, but while he grew, his father with his gang of rowdies continue with their violence to the displeasure of the new police commissioner who is determined to crush the gang. Sultan goes to Mumbai for proper education in robotic engineering. After his completion of his studies, he plans to return to his father's house, hence there commences preparation to welcome him. Some village elders arrive at Setupti's home to beg him to come save them from the ruins a hoodlum named Jersilen has brings to them. Jersilen with his goons will not allow the villagers to farm because his boss wants to preserve some natural resources under the soil. Jersilen publicly execute anyone who goes against his order. The village elders say he has been reported to the police but it seems Jersilen is above the law. They offer Sotupoti some money which he refuses but he promises to rescue the villagers from Jersilen's grip. Later that day, Sultan arrives and he is given a heroic welcome by his father's goons. In the evening, Sultan tells his family what he studies and his plan to travel to Japan and establish his robot manufacturing company. While this is ongoing, 3 delivery guys arrive into compound and begin shooting everyone on sight. Sotupoti is shot in the upper arm and so do some other goons, but few minutes later the gunmen run out of bullets and they escape. Sultan stays in the hospital with the injured after the attack. A woman whose son is one of Sotupoti's goons approaches Sultan crying and blaming Sultan's father because his son is shot and in critical condition. The woman accuses Sotupoti of being selfish protecting Sultan but using her child for violence. Sultan is pained by this accusation. He returns home to pack his things. His father walks in and Sultan tells him what the woman at the hospital says. Sultan says he is leaving his father and his violence lifestyle for good. Sotupoti gives Sultan his late mother engagement ring and tells him to give it to any girl he intends to marry. He also tells Sultan to remember returning home to the rowdies he is running away from now because they raise him and they are the only family he has. The next morning Mansour wakes Sultan from sleep to the sad news of his father's death. During Setupti cremation rites, his lawyer tells Sultan that investigation reveals that the police are behind the previous night attack. The police commissioner sent the gunmen to kill every member of the gang. Sultan goes to the police commissioner's office to beg for second chance on behalf of the gang. He promises to reform the rowdies for good and the commissioner gives him 6 months probation to see if no one brings report to the police station about Sultan's goons. The village head calls Mansour to report another attack carried out by Jersilen and reminds Mansour that late Setupti promises to defend the village. Aftermath, Mansour calls a meeting where he informs the goons about the need to fulfill the late leader's promise to the people of the downtown village. But Tolean, who is already planning a rebellion against the gang over leadership position, rebuke Mansour because he is not their gang leader. Tolean outburst against Mansour angers another member of the gang named Michael, which later make both engage in a fight. Sultan arrives at the scene and he is upset. He says it is not up to 3 days his father dies and his goons are already in disarray over who rules over them. Sultan's friend who returns from Mumbai with him advises him to return to Japan and start a new life than to stay with these rowdies, but Sultan refuses. Mansour with the rowdies plan to secretly go to the village calling for help in order to fulfill late Setupti promise to them, but Sultan. When he asks about the journey the rowdies are about to embark on, but one of the goons, namely King Kong, lies that his family finds him a wife and the other goons want to escort him for the marriage. Sultan say if that is the case he will follow them to witness the marriage too. This make the goons confused. Sultan select King Kong Mansour himself and his bodyguard to go for the marriage while he locks the rest of the goons behind bars to prevent them from committing violence before he returns. The villagers are happy upon the arrival of Sultan and others to the village. Mansour secretly tells the village head that because Mansour does not like violence, he should not tell him about their mission in the village but to pretend as though he wants to give her daughter's hand out in marriage to King Kong. The village head agrees, but when her daughter Rukmani come out to offer the guest drink, King Kong tells Sultan that he does not like Rukmani. Meanwhile, Sultan already finds Rukmani attractive. He calls King Kong to the corner and confirms again if truly he does not like her. King Kong says yes. Sultan returns to the living room and informs the family that he wants to marry Rukmani. Rukmani is not happy about this proposal, so she rejects to marry Sultan. Sultan with his goons return home and he starts fantasizing about his relationship with Rukmani because he is already in love love with her. Next day, Sultan locks every goons behind bars again and heads to the village together with King Kong to convince Rukmani Demo. Sultan finds Rukmani on the hill. He tries to convince her to marry him again because he is a robotic scientist. But Rukmani tells him she will only accept to marry any man who brings agriculture back to her village. A government worker informs the villagers that the government will soon take over their land and chase them out because they consider the land to be barren since they no longer farm. This information makes the villagers start crying and wailing over the misfortune about to befall them, and Sultan have a feeling of empathy for the villagers. Mansour hears about Jasilen coming to the city. He unlocked the key Sultan uses to lock all the goons, and they head to the marketplace with the mission to kill Jasilen. Mansour calls King Kong to know about Sultan's whereabouts, but King Kong replies that the boss himself and Sultan Ain will pass through the market in 5 minutes time. This makes Mansour to quickly tell all the goons to abort mission of killing Jasilen, but one of the rowdies already under the influence of drugs rushes towards Jasilen without his knowledge, but timely intervention of Sultan saves Jasilen. Only his cloth gets torn. Sultan returns home to discipline the rowdy and chastises others too. But Mansour still insists why the gang must fulfill their late leader's promise to the people of the village. At this moment, one of the village elders came into Sultan wailing and informing him that Jasilen and his goons are in their village killing people and beating the elderly. Sultan locks his goons including Mansour behind bars and follows the elder to the village to see if he can talk Jasilen out of attacking the village. By now, Jasilen believes people of this village plan the market attack, while his goons are killing. Jasilen is whipping an elderly he ties to the tree. When Sultan arrives, Jasilen goons recognize him to be the one who saves Jasilen in the market. Sultan tries to talk Jasilen out of bringing crisis to the village, but Jasilen refuses. By now, Mansour and other goons have set themselves free and also head to the village with aim of attacking Jasilen. Sultan turns back to return home after Jasilen tells him not to interfere in how he deals with the villagers, but the sound from the whip Jasilen uses to wipe the elder he ties to the tree. The sound from the wailings of both children and women of this village keep echoing in his ears. His father's goons are already triggered to attack Jasilen and his goon, but suddenly Sultan holds back the whip when Jasilen flings it backward and he uses it to pull him to the ground to the surprise of many. Sultan instructs his goons to hold back. Sultan alone fights off Jasilen and his men and defeats them all to the amazement of his father's goons who never see him fighting before. The villagers are happy and rejoice while the gangs carry Sultans and sing in his praise. Sultan looks at his hand and sees blood. He realized the violence life his late father lived before his death is the same violence life he has begun. This makes him sad. The entire village erupts with celebration over this victory against their enemies and they see Sultan as their savior. At this point, kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel to encourage me to do more of this recap. Thanks.